my mother was quite sick. She was very depressed, and I've always found that I was kind of looking after her. Yeah, it was a very pivotal point in my life, actually, when she passed away, because that's when I started questioning what life is about. Only when death comes is when that question of what is life, who is God, what is this whole existence, these questions started coming in me more.
And I think when energy flows smooth, it does affect your thought patterns as well. In many ways, like body is like an ecosystem which if you don't control it in a certain way, it controls you.
You're able to also, come into your higher consciousness. You're able to really see things clearly and understand yourself more.
You met this person and you're learning these things and you're understanding different layers of reality. What is your worldview? What is your thinking about, again, universe, God, spirituality? How do you think about those things?
This is part of Dreamer series, where we delve deep into human psychology to make sense of people. Today's guest is Bhaktiyana, a bioenergetic awakening therapist who has a lot of concepts to share with us about spirituality. Feel free to listen to her story till the end, and as you do it, don't forget to subscribe. It means a lot to me.
So, Bhaktiyana, maybe we should start by introducing you. Who is Bhaktiyana?
So I'm Bhaktiyana, and I'm currently in Bali right now, traveling with my Sangha, and I'm sharing this amazing therapy called bioenergetic awakening therapy. And I do imprint regression also, and I'm leading an international Kirtan band, and just hope to spread this joy and this wisdom that we're cultivating every day with the whole world.
Okay, nice. Maybe we could go straight into one of your early memories and then maybe start from there and kind of end up how did you start practicing this kind of techniques, and how did you learn it, how did you find your guru, those kind of topics. So what do you think about when I say an early memory?
Oh, that's a good question. How young are we talking?
Could be like, what is the first memory that comes to your mind?
I think a memory of probably being at school and feeling a little bit lost with the sense of self and who I am. I was brought up in a Punjabi house, but I also went to a Christian school, and just trying to find out who I am and fit in, this kind of thing was always happening in my early days. Just how to be with others, how to be with, in general, it was always a bit of a struggle. Yeah, I feel like I remember that from my childhood, never knowing really how to be with other people.
And where is this happening? And where were you born? Even though you said Punjabi family, where were you born? Where is this happening?
So I was born in England, and I went to a Christian private school, and then my family at home, they're also Punjabi. So it was a bit confusing, like, learning the Bible at school and coming home and learning all the sort of parts, all the japji sabs. And it was very confusing of like who I am, and trying to be English, fit into English culture, but then coming home to Indian culture. It was very confusing in my childhood. So I feel this sense of self was very lost in such a early age, because I didn't really know how to be. It was very confusing.
Yeah, and I think it's a very common problem among intercultural children as well, to be brought up in two different spheres of knowledge, in a sense. You go out and there is a different world, you come home and this world is different. So as a child, it might be confusing. Who's around you at this time?
I can see like friends at school around me, but yeah, I was not really there ever present, because there was always so much trying to be someone or something. It just never felt that I was really natural or authentic, because I'm just fitting in with my surroundings. So I didn't feel like I was ever really connecting with anybody.
Okay. And did you have any siblings when you were growing up? And what about your parents? Were they around? Were they like a parent who was like actively taking part in your life?
Yeah, I had my mother and my father and some siblings. My mother was quite sick. She was very depressed, and I've always found that I was kind of looking after her. She passed away in 2017, but yeah, there was not really anyone there, I guess, guiding or giving some kind of help for that. I mean, I know in childhood everyone's kind of alone in this thing.
Yeah, yeah, and like why I asked you is mostly that during the interviews I can see like how parents affect their children. Usually I always see that a child follows a passion in life, and when you really dig deep down, you understand it's the passion of the parent itself. So in many ways, parent and children, they are very connected. Okay, let's see, you were in school, you felt like you were having a hard time connecting to people. What was your worldview at this point of time? You are confused, but what did you think about the world around you?
It's a good question. What did I think about the world? I felt it was quite hard. I'm not going to lie. I felt it was very hard to be in this world, and it felt like a struggle. It felt like a lot of suffering I saw with my mother, and it just felt like this whole kind of world was suffering at that point. Yeah. That's what I
Yeah.
remember from that time.
And what did you have any strong ambitions? Or did you want to go somewhere particular at that time of your life?
Being born in an Indian family, it felt like my kind of, family were telling me this is the route to go on. So it felt what I wanted to do in this life. I kind of started following and listening to them, but actually I had such a passion for psychology and philosophy and knowing more what this world was about. I saw that was in me, but it was kind of suppressed because I started following, what my family wants me to do and, being a good family member and all these kind of things. So that took me away from really my kind of passion and what I myself really wanted to do, and kind of compromising and following that. So yeah, that was
Since
happening.
since you mentioned that, I would like to ask you, have you ever felt like being born as a woman was a disadvantage in that kind of mixed culture? Have you ever felt it?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Have you ever felt being born as a woman in a culture that's quite different? I could understand Indian culture is quite conservative in its sense. Have you ever felt like you were put on like a weight that you are a woman, so you have to act in this certain way and take this kind of responsibility?
Yes, and I feel, I mean, for Indians, it's like the woman is very comfortable. This kind of traditional, the man, you get married, the man does more work, the lady's very comfortable, and this was my life really. I was dying in my comfort zone. I was very, very comfortable, and I had everything that I needed, but it was not making me happy. So in Indian culture also, it's, the girl doesn't need to do much, these kind of things. So that kind of conditioning was embodied in me then at that time. And later on in life, I saw that this is actually what is holding me back, this comfortability, for actually finding my passion in life. This comfortability was like a graveyard for me. So yeah, it's amazing to see how much this culture conditioning can hold you back from really living your life fully.
Yeah, and lack of expectations might actually keep you in a safe zone. You don't have to really seek, or you don't have to really go find something. You're like home, safe, everything is good. So what happened? Say like you're in the school, you had this worldview, and this is the kind of people who were around you. And what happened after that? Say like in high school, do you have any fond memories of thinking about something, or like planning something to be in life? How did that time go?
I mean, I feel at that time I was enjoying a lot. I was just trying to find my freedom what I thought was freedom, which was, you know, going out with friends and this kind of thing. My family were very strict, so I was trying to find any kind of way for my freedom. And at that time, I thought that was freedom, being able to do whatever I wanted. You know, I think that was the only kind of drive, find freedom in doing what I want to do, but it was not necessarily in the most, in the best things. It was a bit of a rebellion, actually, you know, okay, I'm not allowed to do this, so I'm going to go do this. So it was a very rebellion stage for me, actually, during that time, during my teens, just wanting to rebel from the family.
And maybe also like maybe to experience more in life, you know, so you can learn for your own. I can see that in teenagers, usually they rebel because they would like to experience. Like people are like, okay, this is bad. Why is this bad? Let me experience and make my own judgment how bad it is.
Yeah.
And so what happened after teenage? So say like you explained that you like psychology and different fields you like to pursue. But what happened after your school? What is the kind of place you ended up at?
So I ended up at university and yeah, following what my father wanted me to do, which was business. I was a bit upset about that, but yeah, being in that kind of culture, I just kind of followed and listened, and I went down that route. So I went to university and I didn't enjoy it at all. It felt like a big time pass, because obviously that passion or curiosity for that kind of field was not there in my heart. So yeah, I compromised then.
But how was university as a whole? Maybe like education was not of your interest, but how was life in general? Because you are a young person meeting other young people, maybe a bit away from home. So how did that feel?
Yeah, so that was the first time I was on my own, and I was, yeah, just kind of enjoying, I guess, being doing kind of teenage things, rebelling, drinking, partying, this kind of thing. I was enjoying a lot, and feeling some joy in that. But I see that it was just all kind of FOMO, you know, just trying to do what others are doing, just trying to keep up. It felt like, you know, others are doing this, so I'll kind of following, and FOMO, a lot of FOMO I was doing at that age, I feel. As well as my degree, it was mostly following FOMO and what I thought would make me happy.
And maybe safe in a sense. And I feel like at that time, and even a bit more younger as well, you have like a group identity. Like, you know, people who hang out with, what do they do? You kind of follow. You're not like haven't built enough confidence to pursue an alone path. You still are building it up as it goes. At this point of time, spiritually, who were you? What were you thinking about? For example, God, the universe. You might have seen people like suffering and dying. How were you looking into all this kind of things?
At that point of time, I was not really thinking about it so much. I think I was very involved with what others were doing and just trying to keep up. As I said, I didn't really have a time to sit and see what were my views of things. I felt that I was so sucked into kind of FOMO that I didn't really see what my feelings were about the world and what I really truly wanted to do. It felt like, yeah, a lot of anxiety, actually. Yeah.
And what happened after you finished your studies? So what was the next step in life?
So after I finished my studies, my mum was unwell and I was looking after her. And that was a big transition in my life, actually, because that was the first time I was not thinking about myself. I was thinking about her and how she can be okay. So for 4 years, all my energy kind of went into looking after her. I kind of became a nurse, and I was also working for my family business. Yeah, it was a very pivotal point in my life, actually, when she passed away, because that's when I started questioning what life is about. Only when death comes is when that question of what is life, who is God, what is this whole existence, these questions started coming in me more. And it felt like it kind of woke me up from this kind of la-la space I was in, just kind of before partying, just whatever. My life was a time pass. And very comfortable also because I'm working for the family business. So, there's not actually that much ambition to do anything in life because life is very comfortable. So when she passed away, it was a wake up for me actually, to see what this life truly is about.
Yeah, and I feel like death is also like every other thing. It's a divine intervention to kind of like stop you from that kind of moving with the flow. It's another way for people to self-reflect. Like, what do you think about life? You're getting another chance to consider. But I would like to ask, and this might be a bit hard of a question, how did you feel about death? For example, when I was young, my grandparents passed away. And as a kid, I didn't really feel much. Because I think I had that kind of knowledge somehow within me that this is also part of life. It's not like I don't miss them, but it's like it's part of life. Let them pass to the next place wherever it is, and they would be fine. How was your feeling? Because being close to your mom, taking care of her, you might have been like very close, and then from next day she's not there. How were your feelings around that?
Yeah, it was very painful at that time. I felt empty, and it was very hard because it was a shock. So, we never speak about death. We never talk about it. It's not something that, especially in the West, you just don't talk about death. So there was no preparation for it. And it was hard. It was very hard, but it was also so beautiful because it really took me to where I needed to be, because it showed me how this life is so short, and to not compromise and to not live in holding back, to really live this life as this being wants to. So it really shook so many things in me to live fully, because death is around the corner, and we're compromising so much in this life.
What happened after that? So you had a revelation, or you have like a bit more self-reflection over life and how things are happening around you. And what happened after that? So what is the decision you took, or what was the thinking?
So after that, I decided to go traveling. I was not very well in myself. I had a lot of problems like insomnia. I wasn't able to sleep. I had headaches. I wasn't able to go to the toilet. I had many health problems. And I just felt I need to go. I need to move from where I am right now. I was working in my family business. I was like, I'm not where I need to be. So as I started traveling, then I started feeling better. And then I had this burning question just came in me one day of, who am I actually? Who am I? And I saw how unconscious I was. Like, I felt like this is not who I truly am, what I'm doing right now. And there was such a strong urge to go to India. Like, it was like a message, go to India now and you'll find the answer. So that's when I found myself on the journey to India. After that was a big transformation in my life when I came.
What year is this happening? And also I would like to ask you, when you say were you traveling in Europe? Were you traveling within England? Because I would like to imagine a bit more you moving. Okay. So what is this time, and where were you when you got that kind of revelation you have to move?
So I was traveling in South America, and I was in Brazil. I was in this crazy carnival, big carnival that they have every year. And I was standing there and I just stopped, and it just was like very sudden, and I stopped, and this question came, who am I? And that's when that message came to go to India, because I can't say why it happened, or just I felt like it was grace at that point pulling me there. And this was during 2020 in the pandemic. Like, as soon as I got to India, then the pandemic happened in March 2020. And so I could say I was stuck, but I was blessed to be in India during that time. And
Okay.
this question was just kind of, burning inside of me, you can say.
Yeah, I would like to point out, like, many people don't understand, like, lands also have its own energy and karmic path, just like humans. And that's one of the reason why some places attract so many people, because it has so much energy that it can call people in. And sometimes because of that, it becomes metropolitans and it get destroyed because of its own energy. But yeah, many books have been written extensively on those kind of things. Like, and lands affect your thoughts. So if you have like a deep question inside, the land feels you, and the land kind of starts, like putting that thoughts in, and because it's very old, it knows. So it's more of like, move to this place because this is where your answer lies. This is the rest of your life, or like this is the next phase of your life. And how was coming to India during COVID? I know that it was quite closed and very restricted. So where did you land, and what were you doing at that point of time?
So when I had the message to go to India, it was to learn yoga first. Go learn yoga. And I had no idea about what yoga is. I've seen people doing it, and my family was saying, okay, learn first for 7 months and then go. And I said, no, I have to go right now. Like, it was just like, I have to go now. There was nothing that would stop me. It felt like such a strong pull. And when I came to Rishikesh, my yoga training was luckily higher up in the mountains. So I was there for about 4 or 5 months, just very high in the Himalayas, just learning yoga. And it was very, very hard, but it was so like amazing because it was wisdom that I'd never heard before. So I felt very blessed to be there at that time.
And what do you think about yoga generally? Since you have done the training and you have been in the mountains, so what is your thought, or what is your thinking behind yoga?
At that time, it was great for me, but after I finished this Kundalini yoga, I saw that I had just replaced my cigarette with breath work. I had just replaced, all of my smoking with Kundalini Kriya. So I saw that everything is still here. And this yoga is helping, but everything was still here. I still needed a technique or something like that. And it was not, still I was feeling lost. Still I was searching for something else. This was not the end when I came to my yoga school of my search. Yeah, it didn't take me to what I was looking for. After that, I made a prayer, actually. I remember I made a prayer for some help, some guidance, that please, I need to be shown something else. That's when I met my master a week later. I feel like that prayer really listened. And after meeting my master, all my techniques fell away. Everything fell away to that effortless state that he pointed me to.
Out of curiosity, I would like to know, when you said Kundalini yoga, because most people watching might not understand it too. So I would like to explain, please correct me if I'm wrong. Kundalini is a energy that is within the Muladhara, right? The end of the spine, and you awaken it. And the idea is that you pass it through the spine to the top of the head. So is it the same thing that yoga also is trying to do? That kind of yoga?
Yes, and there's practices that many people are doing to awaken this Kundalini and this whole energy. It's all about the energy. Yes. And nowadays I'm seeing all over Instagram, there's, people who are awakening their Kundalinis and things like this. And this energy game, which is so small, inverse to the actual truth, which is behind energy. So, I mean, I see how people are enjoying this energy game so much, but, you know, just one step behind is you before all energy. So it just feels like a kind of a time pass, actually, you know, this whole Kundalini. It felt like a whole
Awakening.
business in Rishikesh. I saw, you know, just kind of selling spirituality, but it's not awakening anyone to actually the truth, you know?
Yeah, like I would say, like from the tantric traditional view, the body is the temple of Devi, what they call the divine feminine, and Shakti is the stula, like it's the raw energy of Devi, which you awaken, and as it passes, different kind of intelligences wakes up in you. And but we should always be careful, because Devi, the divine feminine, is not always the huggy and bubbly view of love. You know, it could be also like very ruthless. So if you are not prepared to take it, if you haven't cleaned yourself enough, if your karma is not cleaned, then you become kind of like a puppet, because the energy is so strong, and the energy can start controlling you. So the teachers who in Tantra who is very good at it, they practice something else, like very different practices to prepare for it and then awaken it. So it's used by them to awaken different kind of knowledge. So there is like a very deep traditional view, but when it comes to like, you know, selling it or like thinking about like how do we make it into a package, then it becomes a problem, because then it's a wrong view of the traditional practice. Let's go to you sending a prayer to the universe, and it's heard, and you meet your teacher. So could you explain that incident that led you to meet your guru? How did you feel? Where did it happen?
So it actually started with someone sending me a video on YouTube of Muji Baba, and it was a music video of a bhajan, and Muji Baba was sitting there, and there was many people sitting around him crying in bliss and happiness. And as I was watching it, I was like, I want that. I don't know what that is, but I want that. And that's when I made that prayer. I want that. I want that. I want someone to guide me to that. And then a week later, I went back to Rishikesh. I was visiting my grandparents in Punjab. And someone told me, you have to meet this man. You have to meet him, because I was struggling with a lot of gut issues at that time. I was not going to the toilet for maybe 10 years properly. I was taking a lot of pills just to go to the toilet, and my stomach was in such a bad state. And someone overheard me and said, you have to meet this man. He can help you. And I said, okay. So then the next day I went to go meet him, and the first thing he pointed to was my stomach. And he pointed at my stomach and he was like, you're holding so much fear here. And my whole body was like, and I was like, oh, wow, like that's what's here. Like I had no idea that there was that much fear in my system. And it was such a encounter in his presence, just that first meeting. And from that moment, my life changed. I had body work with him, and it was so powerful, so transforming, so awakening. And at that time, he had just started Satsang. So I was going to his Satsang, having body work, and everything was just leaving me. Everything was leaving me to come to that, what is already here, this true state. So it was a very powerful experience. And I can just say grace when I met him, and I found myself naturally becoming a disciple. And I never knew what that was, actually, because I was brought up in England, so that's not heard about in our country there. And I found myself naturally becoming a disciple and learning from him. And what I now know is called Guru Bhakti, where you're listening to the teacher and the teachings, and you start surrendering your ego and your arrogance and your life to the teacher and the teachings, and there you find bliss, there you find joy, there you find your true self.
I would like to explore a few words that you use. So maybe we could start from Satsang and then go to body work. So what does that words mean? So could you explain a bit more?
So Satsang is a place where you go to find the deeper meaning of life and your true self, what your true nature is. So it's a gathering where an awakened master will sit and he will point you to that. So it's a process of seeing what you're not to see who you truly are. So there's a freedom chair where you go and you can speak your state, whatever is going on in you. Yahu Baba, my master, will point you to behind that, who you truly are. And it's that cultivation of remembering the source of who you are and the source of this life. And that's how our kind of Sangha was born, by everyone coming to Satsang. And Sangha forms from that because it's that gathering of remembering the source of self. And this is actually come from Buddhism, where they say Sangha, it's like a spiritual gathering where people come.
And you question things and people answer it and give different narrations of God and self and the universe, or any kind of concepts that's mixing in with that, right?
Well, it's removing concepts, removing anything that's in the way of remembering what you truly are. So it's like a self-inquiry where you come in and you inquire on the self, and you explore the self.
Could you give one more example so it's a bit more clear to the audience? For example, you belong to a religion, so you question, why do you belong to that religion? Why do you associate yourself with that? Is it like that? Is that the way you do it, or is it a bit more broader?
It's unifying the source of what all religions are pointing to. That one source, that nothingness, that emptiness. So it's not a religion. It's that what all religions are pointing to, that same truth. And in that satsang, we maybe look at, all lineages, Sufi, Zen, Bhakti. They're all pointing to that same truth. And, whatever way that you can get to that truth, whatever path you take, it's all pointing to that one truth. So it's that remembering, and maybe we'll take a book and we'll look at one script, but we'll always come back to that emptiness, that nothingness.
Understood. Okay, then we can move to body work. What does it mean? What is its significance with people when you work on that? Could you explain a little bit more?
Yes, so it's called bioenergetic awakening body work, and it basically works on the physical, energetic, mental level, and it's like a whole cleaning for this whole system. So we work specifically on this tissue called myofascial tissue, which is a sticky connective tissue that basically holds this whole skeleton into place. And when it's healthy, it's very easy, very flexible. But when we suppress ourselves, or when trauma has happened, it becomes very rigid and very hard. So when we work on that tissue, it basically opens up the energy centers. It opens up where you're holding back in life. And it's very powerful because many past life things are also holding in this tissue. So in this body work, we also do some imprint regression, where we go into your imprint and we clean on a deeper level. Maybe something from another life is impacting you today and manifesting in your life. So it's like a way to go into your unconscious, into your imprint, into your whole system, and really understand what is happening to you. Sometimes we don't know why things are happening to us because we can't see clearly. So when we're able to go into the story, the memory, the wound from this life or the last lives, then we're able to clean and a new fresh state of being comes again.
Yeah, and people who are listening, I wanted to like point out that people would be thinking like, oh, what? You guys are talking about lives before. Um, so it's a very like also very, very well studied topic that your body is kind of like a database. Yeah, it has information from, for example, your ancestors, from like the lineage you're coming from, and it stores in a cellular level. For example, DNA is one of those things, and it manifests in different ways. Like for example, people were getting disability, and the scientific way is like, oh, the genome was having this problem, so the child had the problem. But it's also like memory and information that has been passed on, and in a different level it could be also what we are talking right now about, like problems with cellular damage, or like with tissues, stress hiding behind it. So in many levels, people who listening to it, there is a very high probability this could actually be playing out this way. And how do you, is it like the work of a body work therapist? Is it like healing? Or is it like, what is the whole concept when you get like someone coming in front of you? What do you think about?
Yeah, I mean, we're healing on every level of the system, mentally, physically, energetically. It is healing because it's going into those patterns or whatever is holding you back in life. And we work with the chakras where is blocked, and we open those energy centers, so energy can start moving, but also making a change in your life. One thing is opening the physical body and the energetic body, but also making that change in your action in life. It's a therapy, and it aids in the process of spiritual awakening and the whole journey, but it's also important to cultivate, what that thing that was holding in your life, so that it can, open more. Yeah, it's a technique to help, but also the process of really in action, making that change also. Because, habits come back very quickly, patterns come back very quickly. So, at the end of the body work, we give suggestions to, what to do in life also.
To imagine this, you being with someone and you doing body work, is it like different kind of movements of body? Like you kind of, example, like flex your hands in a certain way so the muscles relax. Is it like that? Or is it basically like keeping your hand like Reiki and thinking about the energy flowing through his body or her body?
So there's different techniques that we use. We do a lot of joint release. First, we relax the whole body so that we can bring this body into a state of like trust and surrender, because so much fear is holding in our bodies. Even we think we're so relaxed, we're not relaxed. There's so much fear vibration. So we first bring the body into more of a state of relaxation by joint release. And then we start working on different points of the body. And first we do a body scanning, because this is where we can see where the myofascia is imbalanced. Sometimes you might see someone's shoulders a bit more like this. Someone's feet are outside, which means that they're not grounded. Someone's eyes are a little bit more out, which means they're, out of the body. They're a schizoid. So we do some body scanning to see where we need to work on the body. Maybe someone's chest is very tight, so, their heart is blocked. So then we know where to work on the body. And by doing some, pressured points on the myofascial tissue, it opens that up. So first relaxation, then opening and working on the tissue begins.
Okay, wow. So it's basically energy manifesting within the body, and you read it. Where is it not flowing properly? And you try to release it so the flow becomes smooth.
Yes.
And the body...
this is all happening with maybe imprint regression, going into the deeper pain and the deeper what's holding there. And as we go into it with that kind of regression comes up, then it really cleans on such a deep level. Because sometimes you might, if you're releasing something and you don't know what it is, then it doesn't go from the whole system. This is where it's cleaning on, mental, vibrational, every level we clean on.
And I think when energy flows smooth, it does affect your thought patterns as well. In many ways, like body is like an ecosystem which, if you don't control it in a certain way, it controls you. You were talking about you having a problem with stomach. As to again, a lot of studies about gut bacteria and parasitic organisms living in the stomach because of the lifestyle. And it needs, for example, it will have sugar cravings. Then kind of you feel like, oh, I need to eat something sugary. And it's crazy. So it's more of like you get influenced. So not all of your thoughts are your own thoughts. It can be like smaller organisms being like a group and trying to influence you. But like with body work, how I see it is more of like the more you do it, energy flows. So you have better clarity in a sense because things are not blocked. So you feel more of clarity and you can understand, you can connect with energies that's a bit beyond you because now things are flowing through you effortlessly.
Yeah, you're able to also, come into your higher consciousness. You're able to really see things clearly and understand yourself more. We usually are so up here in our heads. We are so disconnected to our bodies and what's going on. And the body is actually speaking to us so much. So we're able to understand, what's the root of all of our issues, because it's something emotional. It's something deeper. And I saw that in my life. I was always thinking, oh, it's food, it's food, it's food. But no, it was actually so much fear was holding in my stomach, following family, for example, following society, following right and wrong. And it's, so much was holding in this major psoas. And that was the problem, actually. It was not the food. Because I eat whatever I want, and when I started following my intelligence, then all the kind of issues started to go away. So food is not the problem. I see, really, in my journey, I can say it's not the problem. It's something very deep is holding, which is the root maybe of actually any issue, why any health issues are coming to us. Is always a deeper meaning of it.
I also feel like, when we say like food and energy, everything is connected. It's like different layers of manifestation. It's because of fear you attract certain kind of food. When you don't have fear, you attract different kinds of food. So everything is in a way connected, and physical manifestation is always after your energy manifestation or energy happening. Change your energy, all things change with it. What happened after that? So you met your guru and you understood this person is special. I would like to spend time and learn from him. And what happened after that? So did you become a group? How did it ended up?
So I was going to Satsang. I received body work from my master, and then he asked me if I would like to be a bodywork therapist. He's looking for many people to share this with. And I felt so honored that I could have that opportunity to learn something that I just experienced, which was so magical and life-changing for me. It was like, wow, finally I'm resonating with something in life. Like it just felt like a click. Like this is what I'm looking for. Yeah, now I'm going back to my childhood. I remember now, like when I was younger, I always said I want to help people. So it's like when I was maybe 6, I said I want to help people, and it felt like that kind of clicked in that moment. Like this is what I want to do. And yeah, many people were joining in Satsang, and then Baba did a training for us, and that's when I learned the bodywork training, which was a milestone of my life. It was more than just a training. It was, it was for me becoming empty so I can be a mirror for others, so I can first clean myself and then be able to help somebody. So it was very intense with Baba's guidance. You know, he gave a lot of guidance, and it's you have to see many parts of yourself, and so it was an amazing cleaning to become a mirror for someone else.
And at this point, they say like it's not yet present, maybe a bit before. What is your worldview at that point? You know, you met this person and you're learning these things and you're understanding different layers of reality. What is your worldview? What is your thinking about, again, universe, God, spirituality? How do you think about those things?
At that time, there was so much trust I felt with life. I felt so much trust. And yeah, it was like I had finally found where I needed to be, and I felt so one with existence, so one with life. I'm aligned to life. Yeah, all this suffering vanished when I realized, firstly, that this sense of self is not who I am. All of these ideas, all these notions, they're not who I truly am. And as Baba was pointing me to that, it was bringing me to what life truly is, you know, again, remembering my true nature, that is beyond any idea. So I was feeling very, very one with everything in that time, one with others, recognizing the source in others, which is the same source here. So it was very powerful. It was a time of awakening, actually, and cultivating that awakening also with the Sangha and my master, cultivating that remembering. So it was beautiful, and I feel like it was a very big time of my life, because that's when everything changed for me. There was no more.
You can also see that the thing that you had, you've been thinking about as a child is, why do I not feel connected to people around you? And in time, you are answered on that by your experiences in a very deeper way, in a way that you as an adult kind of understand better. Like, for example, you were explaining that it's the same source everyone is having inside, same energy everyone is having inside. So you have more reasons to connect. And it's wonderful in a way that, you know, the questions you had as a child is answered in time when you are ready to know its depth. So that's a beautiful thought. I would like to ask you, like, how do you balance, for example, I would say society is a bubble, right? It's a bubble where people are expected to work and make money and, for example, like buy an apartment or find a partner, all these expectations. And it's a big bubble, like most people are within the bubble. And then within that bubble or even outside, there is different ways of thinking about reality. For example, like energy is everything. We are everything. How do you balance these different levels of spheres of knowledge? Being grounded, at the same time understanding about this, or you don't feel like, okay, this is not the place I would like to be. I would completely be on the other side of things. How do you think about that? What do you think about balance?
I mean, for me, it's about following really what your being wants to do. Balance and is already what existence is. I mean, if you're listening to your heart and following your call, then you won't even feel like you're working, because you're doing really what you came here to do. And balance will come itself in that. When you start following your actual path and you're listening really to that inner voice. Most of the time in life, we're just, ignoring it. And we're not ready to jump into the unknown. We're not ready to jump out of our comfort zones. But that's where the magic lays. And I feel that's one important thing of my life, just listening to really what this being wants to do. following this heart, following its passion, following its call, and seeing where it takes you. And it won't be what society expects from you. It may seem crazy, it may seem, oh, this is not what I should be doing. I should be doing that. But any should is so heavy, and any should is, not actually what you came here for. If you're following should, then you have to find balance and all of these things in your life. But if you're really just following your heart's call, then there won't be anything that you have to kind of balance in your life.
Yeah, or I am hearing more of like you are saying simplify things. Don't think about things in like maybe like a frame of balance. Simplify enough that you just do what you really feel like doing. And when you kind of like channel energies, like clear your body from blocks, you have better clarity of mind and you have a good idea of what is right and wrong. So just follow your heart's right and let's see. And that comes with a lot of adventurous feeling, and not just adventurous, a lot of courage in a sense, because you are believing the universe or energies around or whatever you're part of, it would take care of you. And that also comes from a deep level of knowledge and a deep level of understanding what all of this. So yeah, I understand what happened. For example, so you are a Sangha right now, and I see that you are traveling right now, right? How does it work to live as a group? Because you are kind of strangers in a sense. You didn't spend your childhood or teenage together. You are believing in the same levels of concepts about life, and then you're coming together as a group. How does it feel to live with a group of people and move with a group of people?
It's beautiful. For us as a Sangha, we're practicing bhakti every day, where, we're taking care of another, where you forget the self and you really look after others. And this is what we're cultivating in our Sangha, this bhakti, this service, this care for others. And there's no separation there also. It's not like anybody's a stranger. This whole family is ours, and this whole world is our family. And this is one thing that we're not just a Sangha, like it's just us. We're also open for everybody, like anyone we meet, whether nobody is a stranger here. Again, that is the truth, that we are all from that same source, and recognizing that in another and meeting in that truth also. And also, yes, many things will come up when you live together, many emotions come up and things like that. And this is where that compassion is for another. That is what Sangha is, where you have compassion that everybody has the same things. And we also express that, but we also come to that recognition again that, there is no other. You are me and I am you. And that is where we meet again and again. And we remember that again and again.
Yeah. And you become a living, breathing organism as a group. You understand each other without talking about things. And yeah, in a way, it's a beautiful feeling to be in a commune-like setup and having mutual interest and thought patterns in a sense.
And for us, we have many, we have someone, I'm from England, someone's from Canada, someone's from India, someone's from Philippines, someone's from Germany. So like every conditioning is very different. But again, coming back to that, we're beyond all of that. We are not a female, we are not a male, we're not this caste, we're not from this country. These are all just ideas, but they're not actually the truth of who we really are. So it's that remembering this equality of every human, in our world with so much hierarchy and competition. And here we're cultivating this oneness of all of us, that there's no one higher, there's no one lower. And it's so beautiful, because that's really what the cultivation of bhakti is, that remembering. and living in this way.
We are coming close to the end of the podcast. I would like to ask you a few questions. I don't know if you think about it, because I feel like you're living in the present and moving as where life takes you. But do you envision a future? And if it is there, what would it be?
Yeah, I envision that the Sangha that I'm in, and at the Kirtan, spreading this joy that we're celebrating every day, and just sharing this wisdom and this music that we're singing, with all this awakening to the whole world. It's my dream that people can live and find this freedom that I found. That's all I want to do. What my master has shown me and shared with me, I just want to share it with the world. So yeah, if I think of the future, I think of spreading everywhere, and meeting many people, and making a blast in this world.
And as a person, what would you like to learn? For example, like now you envision the future, this is where you would like to be. But as a person, as a soul, from inside, deep inside, what is that you're looking to learn or to know about?
I'm looking to unlearn. I'm not looking to learn anything. I'm looking to unlearn. Yeah, I'm being the grace of my master, and he's such an inspiration for me. I want to be just more compassionate. I want to be more loving, more in service to others. This is what my aspiration is of life, to just be less and less and less, and be there more for others. Yeah, I want to unlearn more things.
Okay, I think we have come to the end. Whoever is watching, please check Bhaktiyana out and support her in whatever she's up to. And Bhaktiyana, thanks a lot for spending the time.
Thank you so much.
I would like to talk 5 minutes to you after the podcast, but I would cut the podcast right now.
Okay, thank you so much.